This video is sponsored by PCBWay. Welcome everyone! In this video I'm going to show you my new old project, which is a substantial update to my 3-axis stepper motor controller that I use for my motorized microscope. It is not a coincidence that my previous video was on a CNC pendant. It was kind of a precursor for this video. I first wanted to make sure that the CNC pendant does exactly what I want. So I used the previous video to test and document the controller for this project. Since the CNC pendant has a lot of pins and it operates at 5 volt instead of 3.3 volt, which is what the CNC 4.0 microcontroller tolerates, I had to make some substantial changes to my previous 3-axis stepper motor controller PCB. Therefore, I developed this nice purple PCB. I was quick enough to manage to order the PCB from PCBWay in purple color during their campaign when there was no extra cost for this color. Apart from the nice color, I also added some artistic features, such as the curved traces. I really like their look and it makes the PCB a bit more unique looking. As you can see, all the features and functions are nicely highlighted, so when someone else is supposed to assemble the board, they will have an easy job to identify what goes where. The backside looks fairly simple. I managed to route the majority of the traces on the top side, so the ground plane on the bottom is not too much disturbed. Also, this circuit is not super sensitive to these things, it is just a bunch of different modules wired together anyways. If you like this PCB and want to replicate my project, please follow the link in the description and visit my PCBWay project page where you can get the board. Apart from this color, you can get many other nice colors. Or if you have your own project and you just need to get it manufactured, consider using their services. Don't forget that they also have 3D printing and different metalworking services, so they can help you with more than just PCB related stuff. And if you feel like that your project deserves more attention and it has a good potential, then visit PCBWay's 8th project design contest and nominate your project. You can nominate your project in 3 different categories and you can win valuable prizes. Coming back to my board, let's discuss the main components I used in this project. This chip here is the MCP23018 16-bit I/O expander. This chip does 2 big things. It saves a lot of GPIO pins on the microcontroller, and it converts the CNC pendant's 5 volt signal to 3.3 volt. This level shifting is possible because the chip's pins are 5 volt tolerant and the I2C bus is operating at 3.3 volts. And since I use the chip with I2C, I only need 2 GPIOs instead of the 12 that I actually use for the CNC pendant. Then this next chip is the SN74 LVC245AN chip that I use as a unidirectional level shifter. It connects 3 pins from the pendant directly to the microcontroller. These 3 pins are the A and B pins of the encoder wheel and the emergency stop switch pin. The direct connection is necessary because these pins require a fast interrupt-based reading. Then I use 2 of this MP23 15-base DC-DC converter. One supplies the board with 5 volts and another with 3.3 volts. They are tiny and they can provide up to 2 amperes current, which is more than enough for the peripherals I use. Their output voltage is simply controlled either by the onboard potentiometer or by shorting one of the solder tabs on the back side of the board and cutting the trace under the potentiometer. Then, this is the well-known CNC 4.0. In my opinion, this is one of the best Arduino compatible microcontrollers ever made. Extreme good performance, many GPIO pins, and good customization, which will come very handy later on as you will see it. This microcontroller controls everything around the board. Of course, we also need stepper motor drivers, and as you can also see it on the silk screen, the driver is the well-known TMC2209. It is silent, it has many good features such as serial communication and sensorless homing, and it is affordable. For the type of motors I use in my microscope, which are typical NEMA 17 motors, this driver is more than perfect. And since I have 3 of this stepper motor driver, I need something smart to control them in a smooth way. So I also have this TMC429 RAM generator chip, which does exactly that. It communicates via SPI, it keeps track of speeds, positions, accelerations, everything, and it also handles 2 limit switches per motor. It is an extremely smart chip for stepper motors. The best thing is that it totally unloads the microcontroller CPU because it generates and counts the step pulses. Then I also want to show that the board received the 25-pin female D-sub connector. This is used for connecting the CNC pendant to the board. I use 18 pins from the pendant, so the closest connector I could get is the DB25 with 25 connections. Consequently, the pendant also receives a connector, which is a 25-pin male connector. The connector will be encapsulated in a nice plastic shell. To assemble the new board, let's see what is inside the current controller, what we can keep and what we must discard. But before opening the enclosure, I can already tell that since I switched to the CNC pendant, I ditched one of the three-way switches from the front panel, which was used as an axis selector, and I also ditched the 3 buttons because I found it cumbersome to use them. So the new enclosure will only have the LCD, one toggle switch, and the status LED on the front panel. Inside we can see many cables. I will keep basically all of them. Then the stepper drivers, the RAM generator, and the microcontroller will be transferred to the new board. The rest becomes a memory. To put things into a better perspective, here's the 2 boards next to each other. I slightly had to change the layout because of the D-sub connector, but otherwise it stayed mostly the same. The width of the board is unchanged, but the length is a bit larger, basically by the size of the D-sub connector. Since I removed some connectors due to the ditched axis selector switch and the 3 buttons, I could shuffle things around so that I did not need to increase the board size too much. Now let's start the real work. I have this nice CNC pendant I introduced previously. As you can see, it has a bunch of wires, and as I mentioned before, I will use 18 of them. These wires will be soldered to the D-sub connector, but to make them fit in the plastic shell, I also need to shorten them and then strip them again. It is a cumbersome labor. Just as a reminder, the pendant has a large encoder wheel with 100 detents, which allows precise positioning. Then it has an axis selector rotary switch with 6 options, and it also has a multiplier selector switch with 3 options. Due to the internal wiring, the statuses of these 2 rotary switches can only be detected when the user presses the enable button on the side of the pendant. Finally, the controller also has a self-locking emergency switch. Before soldering the wires, I must do a little surgery inside the pendant. I must pull the emergency switch high by a 10K resistor because otherwise it would float and I could not detect its status properly. I simply soldered the resistor on the switch directly, then insulated it with a heat shrink tube, and then ran a wire to the 5V pin of the encoder wheel. I tried to do a clean job here. Then came the annoying work, the wiring of the D-sub connector. I eyeballed the lengths of the wires and then cut them to the length. Then I stripped them with a 30 AWG stripper. Finally, I fixed everything in my OmniFixo and soldered the wires to the corresponding terminals. Yes, you are right, if you want to highlight that I did not use heat shrink tubes for the wires. I did not bother because the connector won't be used in harsh environments and it is for my private use, so it is good enough for me. The next step is the assembly of the shell of the connector. The kit has a stress relief clamp, and the clamp sits in a seat inside the plastic enclosure. This prevents you from breaking the wires if you somehow manage to yank the cable. Then it has 2 screws and metal plates that sit inside the side holes of the shell. They are used to screw the connector into the other D-sub that we plug this one into. Finally, there are 2 nuts and bolts to hold the 2 sides of the shell together. After a little adjustment and tinkering, I managed to put the connector together, and it seems to be solid. The next surgery is the 2 MP2315 DC-DC converters. As I said, they must provide 5V and 3.3V. So I need to short the corresponding tabs with a little solder blob. This by itself is not enough because the circuit still has the potentiometer connected to the voltage feedback circuit. Therefore, I use the scalpel to cut the corresponding trace. Since I directly solder these devices into the PCB, it would be risky to not test them. So I hook them up with a power supply supplying 12V and check their output voltages. Both voltage regulators provide the correct voltage, so I can solder them into the PCB. Let's populate the new board and solder everything. Some viewers like to complain when the flux is left on the boards I make, which are usually, by the way, no clean flux. But anyway, I have the necessary stuff to clean the board, so I will try my best to remove all the gunk. I hope the results, even if not perfect, are good enough. As a sanity check, before putting any chips and modules in the board, I tested both voltage regulators again. Then, it is just a matter of using the components and modules from the old board and transferring them into the new one. I want to highlight this red wire, which is coming from the Z-axis stepper motor driver. On my microscope, the Z-axis doesn't have any limit switches, but I use the stall guard feature for homing and detecting limits. So this wire is coming from the stall guard pin. Then, on the CNC microcontroller, I added an extra pin to the VUSB connector, so when I want to program the microcontroller outside of this circuit, I can do that. This is because to allow an external power supply and USB connection at the same time, I had to cut the trace on the board that connects the VUSB with the board's 5-volt rail. So when the USB is plugged in and the board is powered externally, there won't be any damage caused. With this, the board is complete and I can mount it on the 3D printed adapter inside the enclosure. Apart from plugging in the already prepared connectors, I also had some interesting solutions. For example, the joystick wires don't have proper connectors. Instead, I used the classic wire wrapper tool and just simply wrapped the wires of the joystick connector around the corresponding pins on the PCB. The Z-axis motor is connected separately from the two others that sit in the stage. So, it has its own connector. I really like these GX16 connectors, so the Z-axis stepper motor also got one. Then I mounted the LCD in the front panel. It just needs 4 bolts and nuts and that's all. The display connects to the microcontroller via I2C and there is a dedicated I2C connector on the PCB for this purpose. I also connected the limit switches. Their connection is always unique and it depends on how the switches are wired. Also, you might have noticed that the wire of the front panel toggle switch was a bit too short. Of course, I did not want to do a lousy job, so I rewired it off camera with longer wires. Now it looks more neat. After double checking the wires, I powered up the device without anything connected to it. It boots up and it reaches the main display, which is a good sign. The status LED is red, but that is because the limit switches are not connected and the device thinks that they are tripped. Totally normal phenomenon. Now let's test and demonstrate this new device. Here is my microscope setup, everything is connected, and the camera on the microscope is also on. I used my previously introduced Hawkeye camera in this demo, and you can see its output on the monitor. The 0 digit is from the scale of the calibration slide I put under the microscope. Let's just do some random movements, strictly focusing on the operation, just to see if the CNC pendant works. The image I currently show is the larger calibration scale that has 100 micrometers per division. Now, without actually tracking the distance, I just move the wheel around, just to show how the user can navigate with the wheel. It looks promising so far. To make it maybe more interesting or spectacular, I put a chip under the microscope. Perhaps it is more interesting if I show the actual image of the camera instead of me playing with the CNC pendant. It looks fairly stable, and I could navigate around the chip fairly easy by using different step sizes. Using the pendant allows rather aggressive navigation, which is very useful if I want to switch positions very quickly. As you can see, the motors can move several centimeters per second without any issues, and I was not even pushing them to their limits. Looking at the same motion from the camera's perspective might trigger motion sickness, but it also gives an impression of how fast this thing can move when we look at microscopic levels. Another interesting subject can be this old Intel microprocessor. It has a complex structure which can help us to see how the navigation works. The stage moves very well on each speed and step size settings. The way I program the microcontroller is that when I rotate the pendant, I increase or decrease the target distance of the selected motor and send this target distance to the TMC429 RAM controller. Then, the controller, based on the pre-programmed maximum speed and acceleration values, ramps the motor until it reaches the target position. This way of control allows very precise movements. Just to see how precise, let's look at the 100 micrometer scale under the microscope again. I am carefully stepping the motor with the wheel, one step at a time. The multiplier is set to 100 times, which means that one detent or click on the wheel is 100 micrometers in distance. So when I bump the wheel 10 times, it should move the scale from 0 to 1. This is 1 millimeter or 1000 micrometers. because of 10 times 100. I went even further and checked with the 10 micron scale. As you can see, it has no issues stepping 10 micrometers, and it can find its way back to the initial position when I apply the same number of steps in the opposite direction. Let me remind you that I just stepped a total of 100 micrometers with a step size of 10 micrometers. The step size is about 5 times smaller than a human hair. So yeah, it is a fairly accurate and precise motion control that I have here. Unfortunately, I could not test the 1 micrometer steps because I don't have a scale that has 1 micrometer step size. But maybe in the future I will find a better calibration slide, maybe something used for scanning electron microscopes. There are calibration standards with a 1 micron grid pattern, which would be perfect for testing the limits of the system. Unfortunately, I don't have an extra €100 to buy one, so maybe not now. So with this, I think the device works as I expected it to work, and everything looks good. Please don't forget to visit the links I put in the description. I published a detailed article about this topic on my website. There are some nice pictures and useful links in the article as well. Also, don't forget to check out my PCBWay project page and PCBWay's website. And if you think that this kind of content is worth your support, please consider becoming a member of my channel. It helps me to publish more projects. I hope you like this video, I hope you learned something, and see you in the next video.